Good morning, John.
How the heck are you?
How are you?
Outstanding. Well, actually, I'm sitting in my car, but I was outstanding in the snow pile.
Are you on the road to work?
Kind of. I was going to stop by the bank and drop off some money, and then the bank doesn't open, so I was sitting there, and then I heard you, and so I'm driving to a new place where I can get cell connection.
Oh.
Somewhere between Haddam and Killingworth or somewhere.
Oh. Oh, yeah, good luck. Good luck with that one. So,
good thing.
What do you know about this?
Well, I had conjunctivitis once. Every time I get on an airplane, it seems like I get, because it's a stew of diseases and stuff. But no, it's if you think about the solar system and the planets, Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, Pluto, they go slower and slower and slower as you go out from the center. So their years are longer and longer and longer. Our year is 1 year long. Mars is about 2 years long. Jupiter zooms along at, something like 12 years. And Saturn is much slower. Saturn is about 2 times as far away. So the planets are always passing each other, okay, periodically. And, so from the Earth's vantage point, Jupiter passes Saturn. I forgot what it is. You can look it up on the font of all knowledge, Wikipedia. I think Jupiter passes Saturn, about once every 12 years or so, okay? And so what's going to happen is, so it gets close to Saturn about every 12 years. The difference is this time it's getting really close. But it's not close in physical space. It's like when you see a tree as you're passing, on the side of the road, and it passes between you and a mountain, far away. So it's close from your viewpoint, but it's not physically very close. Jupiter is about 2 times closer to the sun than Saturn is, so it's not getting very close. And the impact on the Earth is not a big deal, okay? So the Earth won't come to an end.
No,
maybe a little.
What?
Okay, not even a little bit. I'm kidding. Yeah. So this thing happens. It's like a supermoon. Everybody gets excited about a supermoon. It's like, oh, it's a supermoon. Well, the day before the supermoon, it's pretty damn super still, and the month before the supermoon, it's pretty super. So it's just small variations. So this time it's a little bit closer than it has been in a while. So it's really cool to look at. They're going to get very close together, and you can see the ring. You can see the moons around Jupiter with a good pair of binoculars if you hold them really steady, okay? But a good pair of binoculars, you might even be able to see, maybe you won't see the Saturn, but you want a cheap telescope to be able to see the greatest Saturn. And actually a rifle scope, but if you sit there in your phone with a rifle point to Jupiter, but, to each his own. They've done it, and you can just, some rifle scopes, you can just barely see the rings of Saturn. So it's a cool, definitely a cool thing to look at. It's going to be probably pretty cloudy tonight, but take a look tomorrow. It'll be almost as good. They'll be really close together. They won't be right on top of each other, but they'll be within less than a degree apart. You can cover them with your pinky. The moon is about a half a degree wide, so is the sun. So that gives you an idea how close they're getting. Any questions, young man?
Yeah. So how are you doing with your research in time travel?
Oh, that's it kind of screwed up, and I got stuck in 2020. But well, we're looking forward to doing it. Hopefully, 2020 was so crazy that if space aliens land, in the middle of Utah, nobody will bat an eyelash. It's like, oh yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah, right. I saw a meme the other day, and it had a shark, big, huge shark, crash into the top of a house, and all the caption read is, normally I would say something, but it's 2020 and nobody flinches.
I think it's reasonable. But it's an interesting question to ask. What impact do the planets have on the Earth? And it's not very much. They're pretty far away, and they've had billions of years to get into nice stable orbits and space themselves out in a regular fashion. There's a thing called Bode's law or Bode's law, one of those. So, but the astronomy of what's going on is planet formation, or why planets are where they are, is really pretty exciting. And there's a really cool project called ALMA, ALMA, and you should look it up. And look up ALMA protoplanetary disks. Now, protoplanetary means early planet, planet formation. Disk is like our solar system's formed in a disk. But ALMA has taken like 24 images of 24 different baby, newborn planet and solar systems. And Mike, when you and I were a kid, and we only knew about the 9 planets we have right now.
Yeah.
Now we can actually image planets around other stars. It's ridiculous. There are close to 5,000 confirmed planets, and we can see, the formation and how this stuff all happened. And here's the crazy part, that we can only look out and detect these things out to a distance of, from Earth, of about, let's say, maybe 200-300 light years, okay? But within that range, maybe a little bit more, but within that range, pretty much everywhere we look for a planet, every star we look at has a planet. It's more unusual for a star not to have a planet than to have a planet.
Why is that?
It's just because it's kind of a self-reference thing here. Well, we're here, so their planets do exist because we know we're standing on one. It's pretty cool. And we can see a bunch of others around us. But science has always lived on partially, been self-critical of itself whenever it puts the Earth in a special place, okay? Why should we be different than any other star? Why should our star? So if you say to yourself, all stars were formed from the same stuff, from the same matter, why shouldn't all stars have planets? Why should it be unusual? Why should it be that exotic? And then the next question is, well, if all stars have planets, or most stars have planets, then the next question is, do most stars have life, or most planets have life? But that one, you can look a little bit more scrutiny. You look at our solar system, and it's like, well, so far, only one planet on our solar system has obvious life. Maybe there could be something on Mars. And some stuff on Jupiter's moons hasn't been ruled out yet. But we've definitely found in all these 5,000 plus planets we found so far, we've found planets that are very much like our own. That are the right temperature, the right size, right distance from their sun, all that other stuff. So whenever I look outside at our planet, like I'm going to our planetary system, like I'm going through tonight, hopefully I can look through the holes in the clouds, and I'm thinking about that. You look at all those stars, 200 billion stars in our galaxy, and you look at all those stars, and you think, and you look at the Milky Way, there's so many, it looks like a cloud, all right? If 1/1000th of a percent of all those stars had planets with life on them, it's a staggering amount of space aliens hanging out up there. So you just have to believe there's stuff out there. But so today is a good day to connect yourself with that reality that we're probably most likely not alone. So
it's funny because I remember one of the times when we were driving up to Boston to catch a Red Sox game, you, me, and Jay, I had asked you just kind of off the cuff, like with all of your time that you had spent in Chile, and what is it? Well, first of all, what is it you did? What is it that you did in Chile?
Well, in Chile and in Hawaii and in my undergraduate and graduate career, what I did was, I early on, I studied astrophysics in school, but I fell in love very quickly with building instruments, optical instruments, and working on telescopes. So in Chile, what I did was I was an engineer working on those telescopes, and Jay came down and visited me, and Jay's got some cool pictures of that, but I got some too. And so I was working on giant telescopes in Chile, and bunches of them in Chile, and then in Hawaii. And so I was one of the engineers in charge of the optics, controlling the mirrors, and for these big eyes that help you see out further and further into space, and help you see fainter and fainter objects, and also look back in time too. You know, because I used a little while ago, I was talking about light years, and a light year is very close. It sounds like a long distance. Light is the distance, or a light year is the distance light travels in 1 year, and it's a pretty long distance. But if you stretch out to 1 year, you've got one star that you can get to, you know, and so a light year is a pretty big thing. We're about 30,000 light years from the center of our galaxy, and you know, we're 2 million light years from other galaxies. And how far can you see with a telescope? People always ask me that. Well, you can see pretty far away with your naked eye, and so if you look at the Andromeda Galaxy, I can't remember how far away the Andromeda Galaxy is, but somebody can look up M31. Okay, but it's the biggest and most distant thing you can see from Earth with your own eyeballs. And it looks cool through a telescope too. So what I did was I worked on it. I designed giant telescopes and instruments, and so we can, you know, look at the origins of the universe, answer questions like, are we alone? Where did we come from? Stuff like that. So that's what I did. So it was fun. They paid me money to do it, which is even better.
Now, one of the other things that I asked you, I remember this, is, you know, kind of contrary to what you said, you know, here today, you talk about, there's, you know, people out there or other things out there. I asked you, I said, you know, when you were in Chile, did you ever, like, see any kind of spaceship or anything like that? You said, not a one.
Yeah, excellent, phenomenally wonderful question, which I absolutely love. And I spent a ton of time staring at stars and galaxies, you know, both as an astronomer and as an engineer. And so I got tons of time on mountains looking at the most beautiful skies in the world, you know, thousands of hours, all right, staring at the sky with naked eye and with telescope. Because a lot of times you get the telescope running and put it on autopilot while it's doing, you know, while you're collecting a spectra, you know, or the image of the wavelength of light a star or galaxy puts out, you know, so it's collecting data, you know, we're counting single photons. Telescope's running on autopilot, really, you know, all this cool equipment. And I'd stand outside, I'd go out of the dome, I'd stand out there, staring at the sky, smoking a cigarette, because I was a bad boy then. And I'd see, okay, yeah, that, it's boring now. You know, but I'd see, you know, really cool meteorites and things like that. And one of my friends who I replaced, as he went on to go to grad school, actually saw a supernova. Okay, the first naked eye supernova since Kepler, like, I don't know, 500 years ago or something like that. And with his naked eye. Then it was a big deal in 1987. It was supernova 1987A. But all the time I looked at stuff, and I saw all kinds of cool stuff. I saw aurora, and I saw neat crap. And amazing things, stuff through telescopes. You know, you see stars exploding, not in real time. You see the remnant, you know, of what's happening, you know. You'd see gorgeous globular clusters and galaxies and nebula. And the most beautiful thing you see is the center of our galaxy overhead from Chile. It's like nothing you see up here. Right. But I never, ever, ever saw space aliens. However, I did see a no-kidding bona fide UFO.
Okay.
And so this is kind of cool. So one day, I'm walking out of the dome, and I was walking out at dinner, because the way life works on an observatory at the summit is guest astronomers will come up, use the telescope. You'll have dinner together. You know, they will have spent their afternoon preparing, the computers and the instrument for work, and you're working with them, preparing the telescope for their job. These telescopes are big things. This is, hundreds of tons of moving mass. It takes hundreds of computers to run the damn things, and there's a ton of moving parts. Amazing thing works at all. And so you get it all ready, you have dinner together, and that's where you talk about old times, all the work they're doing and other observing plans they've been doing, and stars and galaxies and black holes and stuff you're going to look at, and it's really cool. And then after dinner, you stand outside, you watch the sunset, you BS about the weather and stuff like that. And the person I'm standing with is Arlo Landalt, who was one of the very first group of people, among the very first group of people to winter over at the South Pole in 1957. This is Arlo Landalt and Oscar Saa, S-A-A. And Oscar was one of the most experienced. He was the mountain manager and one of the most experienced observers and technicians I've ever worked with. And so he spent billions of hours looking at the sky. And so anyway, so we walk outside, we look up at the sky, we see this glowing ring in the sky. And it's like, what? And so how big is it in the sky? We don't know how far away it is. So you describe it, an angle. So if you were to put your hand out, it's about 2 inches wide. If you could hold a 2-inch ruler at the end of your hand and hold it up to this thing, So it's several degrees wide, maybe about 10 degrees, 10 degrees wide. And it's bright. It's a ring, a round ring, just hanging there in space. And we're looking up to the northwest, up over the coast of Chile. It's, toward a town of Andacoyo or something. Not Andacoyo. It doesn't matter what town it is. Anyway, we're looking up over it, and it's kind of over the ocean. And we're staring at it. Like, what the hell is that? Remember that Saturday Night Live thing with Steve Martin? What the hell is that? That's what you're the most experienced astronomers in the world. Arlo, and without a doubt, has more time on the sky than anybody in the history of people, And what the hell is that? We're thinking about it. We're like, well, what would look like a ring from any position? Because, again, why should we be special in our position? Why should this thing be a ring, not an ellipse or an oval? If it looks exactly like a ring, you're probably looking at a shell. Okay, by a shell I mean a sphere with a big hole in the middle, centric, like a bubble. A bubble is a shell. Okay, and we heard about things like that. People would launch from rockets. It's a payload called the barium gas payload. They launch this rocket up, and it blows up, and it spits out this cloud of gas that expands in a sphere like a bubble. And when the sun, because sun was setting, but it was still up in the bright sun, because we're in the Earth's shadow at this point. And so the sun was lighting it up. But when you look at a bubble, you can see the edge really good, okay, because it's refracting a lot of light, scattering a lot of light, stuff like that. And so from any position, it would look like a shell, look like a ring, even though it's a spherical shell. So that made sense to us. And we thought that's what it was. We looked at it for like 10 minutes as it slowly drifted to the north. And it got bigger and bigger and bigger, and then it faded out, They said, well, I bet that was a barium gas cloud experiment. We had no idea, but it seemed like a reasonable thing. So I called my wife, Amanda. She was down in La Serena, and I said, honey, go outside and take a look up and see if you see something in the sky. She says, oh, yeah, it's a ring in the sky. What the hell is that? What the hell is that? And I said, I don't know, maybe it's a barium gas cloud experiment. She said, oh, what's barium gas? And I said, blah, 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 blah. So anyway. So next day, the newspapers in La Serena reported a UFO, okay? And they reported people seeing it making impossible right-angle turns, flashing lights, zipping around, bizarre things happening to their animals and stuff like that. And we were all looking at exactly the same thing. Exactly the same thing, okay? And so it was kind of, in a way, it was kind of gratifying because you always want to be there when people report these things. And I was there with two other astronomers who were no kidding great astronomers. That tons of time looking at the sky. And so many months later, we looked up some records, and there was a rocket flight from the Guyana space facility that was run by European Space Agency. And yep, sure enough, they dropped off a barium payload to do barium gas experiments. The reason why they do that, though, is they let loose this barium cloud, then the sun's light ionizes it, and they bounce radio waves off of it, and they can learn stuff about the other atmosphere. That's why they do that. So, but yeah, so I saw a real UFO. But the difference is, you know, I think there are probably people in La Serena that reported the same thing I saw, you know. But there are also people in La Serena who, just like anyone else in the world, whenever there's one of these sightings, will, I don't know how to say it, but we'll have a different way of seeing it than I saw it. And I have a very precise way of looking at phenomena. You know, you just write down what you see. Right? That's what I saw. So that was my UFO experience.
It's a pretty cool story.
What I want to let you know is that I don't want to knock the people who reported the flashing lights and the cows moving upside down, traveling through the air, and whatever. But I'm serious. There was all that stuff. You know, the people were seeing happening, but it didn't happen.
They literally saw cows upside down?
Okay, I'm embellishing that part a little bit. They weren't talking about the right angle movements and things like that. They were talking about their animals being disturbed, and they were talking flashing lights, and it's silvery and shaped like a saucer or shaped like, and it was not. It was, but it's really unusual in the sky, you know, to see something like that, because it was even for us. Right. We'd never seen anything like that before, you know, but we've known, you know, a barium gas cloud experiments are done, not quite as often as they were done, you know, a long time ago, starting in the late 50s, I think, or early 60s. But they're still done. And, but yeah, so that's what I saw. And in some ways, I'm a little bit disappointed that I haven't seen anything, but yeah, there are a lot of quotes associated with Einstein that are not necessarily Einstein quotes, but so I'll preface this next quote with, who knows, it's probably apocryphal, but somebody theoretically, possibly, potentially asked Einstein if he thought aliens were trying to contact us, and he answered, "Do you stop and talk to ants?" And I thought that was really pretty cool.
Good point.
But the distances are tremendous. They're absolutely tremendous. You know, if we wanted to get to, you know, if we wanted to get to our nearest star, which I think I said a minute ago, it was a light year away. It's about 4 light years away. You know,
and we'll never get there.
No, you ain't going to get there. Not with our current technology of throwing stuff out the back of the rocket. You know, by using convention. By that I mean exhaust gas. You know, we got to do something else differently. But some spacecraft of ours have made a heck of an attempt. 2 spacecraft, actually a bunch, Voyager, the 2 Voyagers and the 2 Pioneers. But look up how far away Voyager 1 and Voyager 2 are. They're almost 1 light day away. I think Voyager 1 is 21 light hours away. So when they want to talk to Voyager 1, and they still do, they send a message to Voyager 1, which is something like, Voyager 1, are you alive? And they have to wait 42 hours to get the answer.
Get a response.
21 hours later. 21 hours later, this message, at the speed of goddamn light, it's there, 21 hours, and the little electronics on board said, whoa, holy crap, they're still talking to me. And then it sends back a message. But Voyager 1 is still doing incredible science, and it's, how old is Voyager 1? It was launched in 73, I think. And it's still sailing out there. And it just discovered electron waves, electron pulses going from outside of our solar system, going toward our solar system, because it's way past Pluto. I mean, it's so far past Pluto, it's ridiculous now. So, and yeah, so we've gotten 1 light day away, all right? And now we need to get 365 times 4 times that. Taking 40 years
Yeah.
to do that. We've gotten one light day away.
What about I just had it on the tip of my tongue. What I was going to ask you. No, light year. That's a long way away.
Hey, what's your radio buddy's name? I've forgotten your name, and I apologize.
Paul.
Oh, hi, Paul. Anyway.
Paul, move over here.
Yeah, because I hear Paul talking every now and then, and Paul is.
Oh no, go ahead. Go ahead. I got you, Paul. Go ahead. He's. Hold on. His earphones just flew out of his head.
I'm here.
All right. There you go.
Well, Paul sounds like the voice of reason on the show because I tune in every now and then.
I have to keep him straight.
Yeah.
Bring him back down to reality because he's a hard man to keep focus.
I know. He and I kind of suffered the same lack of attention span.
That's it.
I have troubles. I want to read something to you. Now, there's astrology and there's astronomy.
Right.
Okay. So there's some. No, you're not seeing this because this has actually been typed into the Facebook room. But I want to read it to you about today, and this is an astrological view. And it reads, with the full moon on the 14th, the solstice, and the planetary alignments, a great portal has opened, and we are entering into the age of Aquarius.
Cool.
This is the perfect time to ask the universe for what you truly want. Be careful. It has to be in your true heart. I will be asking for peace and hope, Dawn says. Social activism, economy changing, and the old guard politically, technology, health, and medicine, it can be very hopeful to some, panic-stricken for others, considering the upheaval of 2020 and the quote-unquote Great Reset. Now, that's the other thing that they're saying about this, John, is they're calling it the Great Reset.
Yeah, well, it is kind of in a way. It has nothing to do with the planets, I think. But there's a great reset going on.
Yes.
That is happening. But I'm not sure which way that switch is going to flop. But we'll stick to science for a second and astrology. So astrology is kind of cool. Astrology is the mother of astronomy. Maybe the great grandmother of astronomy. It was slightly crazy great grandmother of astronomy. But astronomy goes way, way back. The Chinese had impeccable knowledge of the cycles of the planets. The Egyptians were pretty good at it. The Chinese, 2,000-3,000 years ago, 2,500 years ago, really understood what was going on in space. And, as a matter of fact, if we want to go back and look up sunspot records, because sunspots go through cycles, and something else is happening now, too. We're emerging and beginning the next big sunspot cycle. So we're going through this flat spot with no sunspots. The sun has a cycle of about 22 years. Everybody says 11 years, but it changes magnetic pole. Like imagine if your compass every 11 years pointed the other way. That's what happens on the sun. Every 11 years, north goes to south, south goes to north. And the sunspots stop, and then they pick up again. So we're coming out of that. You can go back sunspot history like 2,000 years and get an extremely accurate picture of sunspot cycles and things by looking at Chinese history. And so the Greeks were phenomenal at astronomy. They were really brilliant at it. And then we got really, really stupid, meaning the white European people like myself got really, really stupid between about 200 AD and about 1400 AD, was the great stupidness. But in that period, thankfully, the Muslim world really picked it up. And so the great universities and great astronomers and great scientists of that era were all Muslim. And, from, let's say, 300 AD to about 1200 AD. And so astrology evolved from, I'm going to bring it back slowly, evolved out of that. But what happened is, as we got more and more scientific and more accurate about it, there's kind of divergence that happens. And for instance, right now, my birth sign is what is it? Feces? No, it'll come to me. Virgo. That's it. Virgo. That's right. And so anyway, Virgo. But that's not where the sun was when I was born. That is supposed to be the constellation of the sun when you were born, but it's not. It's off by about a month. So if you actually look at, a record of the stars and, of what's going on, and you can actually even do this with Google Sky Map, what you'll find is that the sun's about, 20, 30 degrees away from where it's supposed to be, because a little detail of astronomy is the precession of the Earth's orbit. And, and this leap day thing and all kinds of other things. And so the sun is actually precesses around very slowly. And so we're off by a whole constellation, okay, for astrology. Now, astronomers, that doesn't bother you. Because in astronomy, the biggest impact that anything has on the Earth is the moon because of its tremendous gravity and because it's close to us. And the difference in its gravity between, the side of the Earth that's near to it, the side of the Earth that's far from it, the fact that the Earth is solid, blah, 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 it raises two tides on the Earth, one on the near side, one on the far side. And that has a massive impact on our weather, our climate, and our history and our evolution. And the sun has a smaller impact. It's much further away, so the difference in gravity from the near side to the far side isn't quite so big, but it is much bigger. So it makes up for it a little bit there. But by the time you get all the way out to the planets themselves, the impact of a planet's pull on the Earth, even though they're pretty big, but they're much further away from the sun, or from us, than the moon is. And they're not nearly as big as the sun is. So the impact of planets is absolutely minuscule relative to the Earth and the moon. So, but one thing I do find fascinating about astrologers who are really take care of their field is they admit all the shortcomings, but they're also very, very observant, very clever people, And that's what I think is cool about astrologers, is that, and the, I'll call it the art of astrology. And, and they're also really cool spiritual people, too. People that take it really seriously. As long as they don't try to debunk my science, I don't try to debunk their astrology. So, although I got to say, though, a lot of times what they say about people can be surprisingly accurate. I have a hard time ignoring, the predictions they make about me. So, but I kind of fit the mold. I kind of fit the mold. But here's you want to play an interesting game? Grab a horoscope someday and read it to somebody who believes heavily in astrology, and just pick one at random and say, "I'm reading your horoscope." And you say, "Oh yeah, that's me. No, that was Gemini." Can we read you? And so it's kind of like people dowsing for water.
That's a cruel joke, man. That's a cruel joke.
I can't help it.
See,
there was a kid in our high school once that could speak in tongues, and there was another kid in our high school that believed that was the word of God. So one kid
Aramaic.
So I got them together and I said, "All right, you write down what you just said, and you write down what you just heard." All right. And they refused to play that game. So anyway,
that's too bad. I always want to know what people say in Aramaic.
Aramaic, it's pretty cool. It's a pretty cool language. I mean, all those languages are pretty neat. There's a tremendous amount of history. It's surprising how detailed the history is, even back in the days of Hannibal and Julius Caesar.
Yeah.
The staggering amount of detail that Caesar kept about his day-to-day life and his battles, it's unbelievable. I mean, it's word for word. What happened on the battle, what they ate for breakfast, Hannibal, same deal, And the staggering amount of works that the Greeks left behind, and also the staggering amount that were lost, when the raiders burned the libraries and things like that, the entire works of Democritus were destroyed, and he was probably the greatest scientist in our history. The only reason why we know about him and his works was that other people wrote about his works. We knew that there were 24 volumes that described everything from atomic theory to gravity, all kinds of wonderful things, geometry. The guy was maybe the greatest scientist ever. Not a single one of his works exists because they were burned, because they were, I don't know, because every now and then we get it, they'll bug up our butts and we have to destroy knowledge. So anyway, but yeah, Democritus is brilliant.
So what's your thought on Nikola Tesla then?
Tesla was a cool guy, brilliant engineer, and it was an interesting time. And I'm driving a Tesla.
Right.
It was a very cool time in the history of engineering. Electricity was just really coming into its own, and Tesla was on the forefront. I mean, his contribution to motors and all kinds of things was magnetic fields, alternators, is just outstanding. He's an absolute brilliant human. And like a lot of people on the forefront, you worked in the realm of really well understood and really solid, sharply engineered things. They kind of moved out a little bit to the fringes too. They were just starting to explore at that time the radio spectrum and things like that. And so he had this idea you could broadcast power and control weather and all kinds of things. And you absolutely can. But he was a little bit early on that. And so to extrapolate, he was doing a lot of real heavy duty, tremendous amount of extremely valuable heavy duty experimentation, and a bit of extrapolation. And a lot of people will extrapolate on some of the work he did at the limits of what he did, and then it starts to get a little bizarre, but he was absolutely brilliant. I mean, I got a Tesla coil at home. I don't know if I bring you over and I'll fry you with it, and it's just kind of handy. So.
What about so let's go one step further and go on to Elon Musk. You think he'll get to Mars?
Oh, hell yeah. He's absolutely. Elon Musk is a freak. He made his money from PayPal and then and a couple other things, then reinvested that, into Tesla, which was a massive hit, right? And so he reinvested that into Tesla, but his space flight, his SpaceX, the guy has launched, I don't know how many successful rocket missions, resupplying the space station. Maybe 100.
A bunch,
that's not a small feat to, it's beyond, there's another little group that's shooting people into space for $250,000. So they basically shoot them straight up, and they go up about 50, 60 miles. So they're going maybe, I don't know, several thousand miles an hour at that point, 5,000 miles an hour maybe. And they slow down, turn around, come back ballistically. But to speed somebody up to the 19,000 miles an hour it takes to orbit the Earth, okay, launch up out of the atmosphere, and then fly this thing to catch up with something and dock with something that's moving at 19,000 miles an hour. Hook up with it, dock, unload the lawn furniture, the new Cheetos, whatever the hell they're sending up there to the space station, and then they take the trash back. That's what they do. They pack this thing full of old space diapers, old magazines, God knows what, junk mail. Stuff it full of that crap. And then send this thing back into the atmosphere. And that's the scariest thing. Now you're going 19,000 miles an hour. And you're not going to use rockets to break you because that's way too expensive in terms of energy and fuel that you got to lift up there. And they use the atmosphere to slow them down. And, so they're riding the razor's edge between slowing people down, crushing them with too much deceleration, or burning them to death. We're going to weave through that little minefield and get people back on the ground. And they've done that now. It's a holy Louie. It's a massive achievement. And so is he going to get to Mars? Oh, yeah. There's no question. And I'm excited about, I've never been excited about manned space travel, even though I would go in a heartbeat. Because I believe that if you're just out there to explore, you're best done with robots. They're better at it than we are. You don't have to feed them. You just give them electricity and they're happy. And, but the more I think about, moon-based science and maybe, some kind of an economy based on things we can bring back from, for the moons of various planets, yeah, I started to get interested in it again. But yeah, Musk he's no kidding. He's a little bit crazy. He lacks a filter like I do, maybe. But he's ultra brilliant. And yeah, he's going to get there. No question. Don't bet against Musk.
No. You can't lose with Musk and cryptocurrencies these days.
Yeah, that boggles my mind. I follow economics pretty tightly, and I'm still trying to wrap my head around, cryptocurrency. Why do we need it? But
because the dollar's failing.
Yeah, I don't think so. Not really. The dollar is, if the dollar softens, it's kind of what we'd like, because the dollar softens, right? Then everybody can buy our stuff. The trouble is everybody else's stuff gets expensive to us, If you run a huge deficit, in order to support that, then the dollar gets strong, and then it becomes impossible for people to buy, or difficult for people to buy your stuff, but really easy for you to buy everybody else's stuff. So right now we have a weakening dollar, and I think that's probably a welcome thing for us because it would help our foreign trade. Our foreign trade balance is not so good. So,
well, to your point, Bitcoin is down a little bit today.
Yeah, but it's how high is it? Like I haven't even looked in a while. Is it 19 or something, or what is it?
No, it's 22 right now. It was
yeah.
Earlier last week. Well, mid last week, it hit 24,000.
Wow. Yeah. So I don't know. You know what? I think the best investment, solid investment, is S&P 500.
Yeah.
Put your money there. If you're going to move your IRA around, put it there. It's hard for that to mess up. Look at the last 50 years of that. Look at the next 50.
Oh yeah. Well, that's the tried and true.
Yeah, I'm speaking from somebody with absolutely zippo knowledge. So I have zero license to speak about.
Oh, me either.
So, but you want to listen? Here's a plug for another radio show. A really good one. Will teach you a ton about economics and what's going on.
All right. Well, have a great day, John. No, go ahead.
There you go. It's actually most of it's on before you're on is Bloomberg Radio, and you can catch their podcast anytime, so you don't have to listen to that. But you want to learn there. Bloomberg Radio is really pretty good.
And Bloomberg's real big on They're real big on Bitcoin.
Yeah, and also only their surveillance show. Their other shows are too much. I don't know. They're poop. But Bloomberg surveillance is real economists and the head of the Fed and stuff like that. It's really good stuff. So add that to your news feed.
I will.
They're really pretty cool. But anyway, I think you gotta sell some ads, and I gotta generate some revenue or something.
That's what I gotta do. I gotta let you go. Actually, this is the longest I've spoken to you in probably 6 months, man.
Oh, without a doubt. It's been a pleasure. And Paul, I really enjoy your.
He has amazing input, doesn't he?
Yeah, Paul's got a really good radio voice. And then Paul, I like listening to Paul's weather. And I would listen. You should do national weather, Paul.
Oh boy!
Why don't you do like and here's the weather for Des Moines. Oh God!
Hey, Paul. Next time I call in, we can talk about space weather.
Okay.
Ooh.
Because space weather is actually a big deal. It affects us every single day.
Oh.
So.
Okay.
And there is the space extremely important what happens in space. So next time, we'll talk about space weather.
Okay.
All right. Well, let's not wait for 6 months, all right?
All righty. Yeah, we'll call you in a few weeks. Actually, next time sun gets exciting, I'll warn you and I'll give you a call.
All right. Sounds good.
All right. Thanks, Paul. Thanks,
Yep.
Mike.
All right, John.
Bye.
We'll talk to you soon, hopefully.
Yeah, as well.
All right. Bye-bye. That's John. John Filhaber. That's actually Lisa's brother.
Oh. Wow. Very knowledgeable.
Yeah. The whole family is like ridiculously smart. You know, it's like the Filhabers got all the brains.
Yep.
In Eastern Connecticut, everybody the rest of us are drooling.
How the hell did you get?
That was like that in high school, man. They're just brilliant. All of them.
How the hell did they get in touch with you?
I don't know. I mean, John's father was my scout leader.
Really? Oh, wow.
Yep, he was my scout leader. That's how I met John.
Oh,
And I've known John longer than I've known Lisa.
wow.
And then Lisa and I became really good friends in high school. So
Now, just so you know that there's going to be a geomagic storm watch going on.
Geomagic?
Geomagnetic.
Oh, geomagnetic. I'm thinking, wow, geomagic.
No, geomagnetic storm watch.
Just in time
until
for Christmas.
23rd of December. Yeah. Well,
So we've got a few days of this crap.
oh, man.
Don't you feel like you have a lot of energy today? It's the great reset, man. The great conjunction. Conjunction junction. What's your function? I don't know. All right, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be back in a minute right here on SNSN Internet Radio.
Hi, this is Alan Gear. You may know me as Mr. Jewett City. I want to tell you about my experience with our local eye doctor, Dr. Joel Zuckerbrun. I recently had cataract surgery, and I was told that I needed new glasses. I didn't know what to do because the problem was this was right in the middle of the COVID-19 pandemic. Where the heck was I going to get glasses? I checked places that make glasses. I looked online, and what I found was my solution was practically in my own backyard. So I called Dr. Z, as most people know him. His office is right on North Main Street, right here in the borough of Jewett City. I went to my appointment and had my glasses faster than I would have thought possible. Call Dr. Zuckerbrun at 376-2848. I trust Dr. Z with my eyesight, and you should too. Make an appointment today.
Did you just eat that whole cookie off the mantle? Look, I'm here giving out free presents, all right? I'll eat the cookies if I want. You know what? I might even make a sandwich.
The streaming news and sports network.
Rocking the stockings.
SNSN.
And good morning. Welcome back to the show, everybody. It's 9:38, 22 minutes in front of 10 o'clock. Mike and Paul are here. That's me. It's him. I don't know. So we had a lot of talk about the Great Conjunction today with our friend John Filhaber.
Very interesting.
Very interesting. Letting us know that, no, the world is not coming to an end today.
No.
It's not coming to an end for all you doomsday preppers out there.
But I did hear him say the age of Aquarius is back.
It wasn't him.
Well,
It wasn't him.
well,
It was,
the age, I'm going to stop growing my hair.
should we start singing? This is the dawning of the age of
Aquarius.
That's today.
Yeah.
It's also the winter solstice. It's the first day
Of winter.
of winter.
That's right. 3 more months till spring.
Huh?
I think it's 3 more months. We'll be back in the spring.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to that. We should be counting the days. 90 more days till spring.
So the vaccine's coming.
Yes, it is.
The vaccine's coming apparently by the 28th. That's when it's going to start to get distributed.
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 I say distributed.
Everybody says it different.
I know.
Nobody knows.
I don't know. So you're going to get this. You're going to get it in the arm. I see. We had a couple of our senators. I think they should have got it in the other end.
I saw the video where Mike Pence got it yesterday, him and his wife.
Yeah. I guess we'll be getting it local. I guess Walgreens will be doing it, right?
Walgreens and CVS, I guess, have the agreements.
Well, they do a lot of the flu shots anyway.
They do.
So I would think sometime over the next month or two, be eligible to get it.
So what have you heard about the new stimulus package?
$600.
Doesn't it have to go through the Senate now?
I think it's gonna. Yeah, I think it's gonna go through.
So what?
They've kind of come to an agreement.
So $600, and then
if you qualified for the last one, I guess you'll qualify this one.
and then extended pandemic unemployment benefits.
Yeah, $300, I think.
For 11 weeks.
Yeah,
I think it is something like that.
Yeah.
So that's all coming our way.
But there's another one going to come out again. As soon as Biden gets in, they're already talking about another one by the end of January.
Well, we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
Anyway,
that's what they're saying. That's why what do you think they caved for? What do you think that the House caved a little bit for? Because they're going to get their way in at the end of the year when Biden gets in.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah.
All right, Paul, we're out of here.
We're out of here.
Out of here.
Out of here.
See you again once again tomorrow morning right here on SN Internet Radio. Have a great day, everyone. Keep it on. A lot of great stuff right here on SN Internet Radio. Hope you have a good day. And we'll see you tomorrow morning, Tuesday. Don't forget Angela coming up a little bit later on and film.